you're watching Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. Please help us stay on the air and stay independent and protect us from the deep state, because I'm being targeted by the establishment. The establishment's coming after me. I would be a lot more successful if it wasn't for the deep state and the establishment, the Illuminati and the Rothschilds and the globalists. It couldn't possibly be that the internet's full of programming and I have to slowly but surely convince people to come and watch my channel. No, it's got to be that the system is against me. I'm not the deep state. I am the girth state. I might not hit bottom, but I'll scrape the shit out of the sides. And I think I am the Democratic machine, though. Do not forget. All right. Anyways, so on the other end of the Republican spectrum of fuck around and freak out is, and let's see if I can find, yeah. So Trump got a gag order today, largely because, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, and anybody who was looking at this dickhead was gagging. Again, look at the fucking orange, that's fucking amazing. The color of the hands, color of the temples up here, right here. See this? Can you imagine if I came on the show and right here on my face, it just started getting really fucking orange? If I saw myself like that ever, I'd be like, oh, that was fucked up. It was, unless I was, the night before, I was shooting a sexy liberal Trump sketch and my face had been dyed by the makeup that I had to use to do it, which, by the way, has happened. But yeah, here we go. I think this is him. Yeah, he just comes out. This is when he's going in this morning. So this is before McCarthy's been ousted, and this is before his gag order. We're doing kind of like we're moving beyond the time scope. You and I, we're extratemporal today. We're operating in and out of touch, out of time. All right, and so here we go.
President Trump speaking now. Let's listen.
Is and will, and I hope you're impressed. We built a great company.
Yeah, I don't think. I think your dad built a reasonable real estate company, and then when you took it over from him, you turned it into a branding exercise, and it might as well just make fucking stickers at this point.
But he's been given false information, misleading.
Well, enough about your attorneys and your testimony and your deposition.
Information and corrupt information.
Ooh, corrupt information. Really? It was the file not readable? Whatever? Would you send him an MKV file and he can only do MP4s?
By a very corrupt and incompetent Attorney General, Letitia James, this woman.
Yeah, but at one point, if you're corrupt and incompetent, you accidentally send the right stuff? Because you understand what I'm saying. If you're, let's say the most incompetent bank robber of all time would show up, fill out a deposit slip, and put all their own money into the bank at gunpoint. They'd hand a gun to the teller and go, please hold that on me while I fill out my deposit slip. That would be the singular most incompetent bank robber of all time. So, never mind.
She's grossly incompetent.
Oh, she's grossly incompetent. Ugh. As gross as your weird makeup line and your clamshell hairdo.
She ran on the basis, I will get Trump without...
Yeah, but she got elected because New York fucking hates you.
...knowing anything about me.
How the fuck? I don't know where that comes from. He said it yesterday. He says it all the time. She didn't even know anything about me. She knew everything about you. And as soon as she got into office, I mean, she was in the DA's office before that. She just wasn't the AG, right? Is that the idea? Or she was aware of this shit. How do you not know Donald Trump's history of being a fucking pig? I got news for you, asshole. She knew before she got elected. She knew about the E. Jean Carroll case. She knew about the fucking Access Hollywood tape where you admitted to being a serial sexual assaulter, you fucking monster. She knew you partied with Epstein for 2 goddamn decades. What are you talking about?
So he's been given this information. It's now been proven to be false.
No, it hasn't. He means because the tax assessment stuff is not what he could sell the property for. Immaterial. Doesn't matter. He fought against it. He thinks it's lower than that. So the physical absolute dollar value of the land without the pomp and circumstance of it being Mar-a-Lago of any, like, as a piece of, like, as a historical site, because it was named a historical site and it's got to be preserved that way, which also lowers the amount you can sell it for because you can never change it. Again, somebody else cited yesterday that somebody he knew had bought 5 lots for like that equaled the size of the Mar-a-Lago space for $100 million apiece. These housing lots that, in this area. That's because none of those houses are protected, and that motherfucker can knock them down and put $1 billion hotel there. You cannot do that with Mar-a-Lago. It has to stay as it is. And the limitations on the size and capacity of that fucking place and how much money it can produce lowers its value over time. And I don't know why nobody mentions this shit to him. Well, other than the fact that he'll fucking flip out or something.
Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida, being worth $18 million when in fact it's much closer to $1.5 billion. No, it is not. Other properties do not automatically equate this because, again, you can develop these properties. You cannot develop the Mar-a-Lago property. It has to stay as it is. Dum-dum. And I appreciate very much the officials of Palm Beach calling yesterday.
Yes, these are the same people that gave Jeffrey Epstein a key to the jail. Yes, quality human beings. I noticed they didn't also, in the entire time he lived there, they didn't turn him in, or a lot of them came over to the house and just did notice there was a bunch of 16-year-olds roaming around the fucking place, or I guess they didn't talk to the parents of the girls that were being, trafficked over there. No, they just blew that in. All right.
And writing and saying that she was very wrong. That's not the way you value the property. So she said it was $18 million. It's $1.5 billion. Likewise.
No, it's not. No, there's no fucking way. Mar-a-Lago, the only way Mar-a-Lago is worth $1.5 billion is if you can bulldoze it and climate change does not change the shoreline in the next 50 years.
We've just recently sold 2 properties for many times what they were worth. Many times.
Right. But it's interesting. Why is he selling shit? Wait a minute. That's new. Hold on. What'd you sell?
Likewise, we've just recently sold 2 properties for many times what they were worth. Many times.
Did you? Did you now? So you made a big profit on that? And I suppose you're going to pay taxes on that profit, are you? Huh?
What they were worth in the financial statements. And
that's because you made your financial statements decades ago, and also, are they in the United States? And also, can you develop them because somebody could just bulldoze them? Like that house you sold to that fucking rich Russian dude for $90 million.
The statements are actually much lower than the actual net worth. She knows that, but she's fraudulent. Because of the
she's fraudulent
numbers she's given, many of which, Mar-a-Lago is just one example. We have other examples that are almost as good, in some cases might even be better.
Yeah, because you can bulldoze those places because they're dumps.
This case should be dismissed. This is not a case. And she should probably be dismissed also because she's terrible and grossly incompetent.
Yeah, she's elected, fuckhead.
As I've said. But at a minimum, she should start looking for the murderers and the criminals, the violent criminals all over.
She's a prosecutor. She's the attorney general. She's not an investigator. That would be, I would argue, if you really think there's a problem with that, see these police officers right behind you? Walk over to them and tell them how police officers don't arrest murderers and thugs and killers, and then talk to the DAs about that Rudy Giuliani knows about how they're not prosecuting anybody for murder or any of that shit, or they're giving no cash bail for murderers, which is not true. They only do that for nonviolent crimes, but whatever.
New York, do something about all of the illegal migrants pouring into our city and state.
Yeah, probably, invade Texas? That'll work.
And not spend the next 6 months in a courthouse because she's been caught early. Her numbers are fraudulent. She's a fraud. You should say fraud a lot. Say fraud. I'm not a fraud. You're a fraud. You're a fraud.
The numbers are fraudulent, and this case should be dismissed. And they ought to get on to violent crime and solving the problems of New York City and New York State.
Yeah, I don't even know how he got in the building over all the dead bodies and shit.
Thank you very much. Mr. President.
Yeah, in the chat room, Linda was saying, yeah, Mar-a-Lago can never be used for residential. That's why the value is limited. No subdividing is allowed. Exactly.